Good morning, true crime friends. How y'all doing? Listen, we got a verdict yesterday. You know the way I love a verdict. Oh, I love a verdict. Yesterday, in the state of Colorado versus Stacy Rodriguez. Oh, honey, we have ourselves a verdict and we need to talk about it. But first, you know what you need to do. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. That helps other people find us. Also, share these videos with your friends. Listen. Over there down in Colorado, right? They had closing arguments the other day, and I was like, okay, if this was me, I would take 30 seconds to convict this heifer. But in case you have not followed this case bit by bit, detail by detail, don't you worry about it. I'm gonna get you caught up. Also, you can check out what's this lady's name? Dump truck, what's her name? Oh, Stacy Rodriguez. The Stacy Rodriguez playlist. I'm just going to link it in the description box of this video so you can get like the full story of the previous days of trial. But let me just give you the quick and dirty. Stacy and her girlfriend Hosanna went down to a bar, met this dude Christopher. He went back home with them. They just was going to have some drinks or whatever because Stacy and Hosanna was into girls. They wasn't really into boys like that, but they were super duper into liquor. And then they were like, this is fun. His liquor is nice. Let's unfortunately unalive and rob him. And so that's what they did. They unfortunately Hosanna was like the homicide helper and Stacy Rodriguez was the main doer. You know what I mean? She was like, and unfortunately unalived this poor boy right there in his house. And then rifled through his stuff, stole a bunch of his stuff, and then set his house on fire, and then went about her business acting like she didn't do nothing. And Hosanna was like, humana, how have I got myself in this situation? My girlfriend is now super duper abusive and I'm real scared to leave her. And then finally when they get arrested, excuse me, they get arrested. Hosanna was like, help, I'm blinking out Morse code. Like, please help me, get me away from this big bitch. I mean, this my loving partner. So I can tell you the whole story of what happened. And so that's basically the case in a nutshell, right? So closing arguments come the other day. And I was like, okay, so the state gets up and tells the whole story again. Christopher Dickinson, we're going to say his name. We're going to put some respect on Mr. Dickerson's name because he deserves it. He did not deserve to have this happen to him. It's a terrible situation. Anyway, so Christopher Dickinson was just like, the state was like, he was minding his business. This prosecutor was very passionate. I was like, Mr. Prosecutor, I appreciate your passion. You're taking this real personal, and I kind of want to know why, but I appreciate his passion for the law and for putting away dump trucks who unfortunately unalive other people, right? So he walks us through this case one by one, all the details. And I was like, okay. And he was real efficient with it, right? Like 1, 2, 3, he told us what happened. And then he went and sat down. And then the defense attorney stood up. Now, listen, I have no beef with these defense attorneys. For the most part, there's two defense attorneys. One is like a seasoned, more like you can tell she's just been around the job longer. She knows what she's doing. She's calm. She's considerate. She gives you all the facts. She sees her client as a regular human being, which every defense attorney should do that, in my opinion. Dump truck Stacy Rodriguez absolutely deserves to be treated like a human being, even though she did not offer that courtesy to other people. The other defense attorney, Miss Trujillo, girl, is this your first trial? I feel like this is her first trial. Either that or she's madly in love with Stacy Rodriguez. Oh, they giggled and they cooed and they flirted with each other and they leaned into each other. And I was like, Miss Trujillo, you in danger, girl. You know this heifer. Literal heifer. She a big girl. Now, I'm not weight shaming, fat shaming, short shaming her. None of those things. But this Stacy Rodriguez is a horrible human being, apparently with a long criminal record. But we didn't know this at the time, right? Miss Trujillo was like, oh, Stacy, girl. They spent the whole trial grinning and shucking and jiving and leaning into each other. And I was like, wait. Is Miss Trujillo flirting with her client? I'm trying to figure it out because that relationship seemed a little too close and a little inappropriate to me. But okay, you see your client as a misunderstood dump truck? Unclear. Anyway, so The defense gave a long closing statement. Oh, it was tedious. She went through every detail of the whole trial all over again, and she kept referring to Stacy as a kid. Now, Stacy was 19 when she committed this unfortunate unaliving, but she got up on the stand and confessed to unfortunately unaliving this man and setting his house on fire. She's a kid? Listen, this defense attorney, at first I was listening, and then she just lost me. I was sitting there thinking like, why are we still here? Is this heifer still talking? And basically she was like, my client is a kid. You should blame her girlfriend because her girlfriend was older and her girlfriend got a good deal to testify against her. And her girlfriend. Your client has taken responsibility. Why are you still talking? Oh, she went detail by detail. I was not listening. I listened to it on 2X and it still took too long. I was like, okay, can you sit down? When you gonna sit down? Okay. Meanwhile, Miss Trujillo was like, I hope my dump truck friend does not get convicted. And then the state gets their second chance, right? The state stands back up and it's like, this heifer totally did it. And I was like, right. In my mind, the jury could have just made the decision right there in the box. They didn't have to wait for their Jimmy John sandwich. They didn't have to do. And I thought they was gonna we go. Okay. Yeah, Judge, we don't need to go back there. We good. We could just right here in the box, maybe in the hallway on the way back. But the jury deliberates for like 5 or 6 hours. I was like, what are they trying to figure out? In my opinion, they had questions about Hosanna's role. Now, what they thought Hosanna did when Stacy got up on the stand and said she did it. She said she did the unaliving. She said she burned the house down. Then she said it was self-defense. Even though Hosanna was like, my dump truck of a girlfriend used to literally throw her weight around and lay her body on people to make them do stuff. She laid her body on Christopher. She might have smothered him. I don't know. All that. It just was a lot of her. But she laid her body on him and then was like 5 times in his neck. Wait. When the defense attorneys got up, one of the things that they said that was kind of on point, they were like, she's too dumb to commit a real crime. I think dumb people commit more crimes, in my opinion, because they don't have good problem solving skills. She was just like, Stacy dropped out of high school in the 9th grade. She was only 14. She had to go to work and support her family. You can't really blame her. And then the state said that she stabbed him in the jugular. Do you think she knows what a jugular is? She's real stupid. Look at her face. She doesn't know things like words and body parts and spelling. You know what she does know how to do? Unfortunately, unalive others. And for that, you don't need to spell. So I was just like, okay. So after 5 or 6 hours, the jury comes back and they have a verdict. And I was like, okay, how long is it going to be till they find her guilty? Now, Judge Vicente Virgil, we're going to put some respect on his name. I'll talk about him more in a minute. Mr. Virgil was like, Judge Virgil, excuse me, was like, okay, he's going through the papers. Okay, jury, you didn't fill out the things right. Can you go on back and sign the papers? Y'all, Miss Trujillo, the defense attorney, was looking nervous. She was super duper nervous. The state was sitting there like, I know we got this heifer. It's no question in my mind. Stacy was unbothered. I'm telling you, she was like, okay, it is what it is. If you look up unbothered in the dictionary, you see a picture of a dump truck that is also Stacy Rodriguez, right? So Judge Virgil, the jury comes back. Everything is like all filled out correctly or whatever. And the judge is like, okay, normally what they do. We here from the beautiful state of Florida, land of oranges and crazy people, find you, whatever, right? Judge Virgil ain't have time for that mess. He was like, we're going to skip the caption. Heifer's guilty on all charges. He ain't say it like that, but that is the spirit of what he said. He didn't read all the stuff at the top of the page, whatever. He was like, guilty of this, guilty of that, guilty. And I was like, okay, yes, Judge Virgil, come through. And he was like, okay, so we're going to have to sentence this heifer. Now, when the verdict was read, normally the defendant stands up and has to face the jury, right? But Miss Trujillo was like, can my girlfriend stay? I mean, can the defendant stay seated? And the judge was like, Do you, boo? I mean, that's not exactly what he said, but that is absolutely the spirit of what he said. He was like, yeah, whatever. So Stacy sat there, and as they convicted her, as Judge Virgil read that she was convicted, she just sort of like twerked her lip a little bit. Her girlfriend, Miss Trujillo, on the other hand, was like, Miss Trujillo, are you weeping for the dearly departed Christopher Dickinson? Is that why you crying so hard? You could not be crying for this unaliver over here. Dumb though she may be, she has clearly captured your heart. Y'all, the junior defense attorney wept so hard. I was like, is she gonna be okay? And she was like, turning her back and lowering her head. Her cheeks were all red and stuff. Ma'am, is this your first trial? You're a public defender. A lot of your clients are going to be convicted. I mean, I know you feel like you out here maybe like right fighting. You're fighting for the rights of the underserved. And I hope you continue to keep that same level of passion, but not for her. We know she did it. She said she did it. She talked about having an emotional support battery in her hand when the police questioned her. See, also, she not that bright. What are we weeping for, ma'am? Miss Trujillo was beside herself, and Stacy was just like, okay, I wonder what flavor bologna casserole they gonna have today for lunch. Stacy was straight out of cares. Listen, if I liked her better, I would send her some of mine. People keep sending me cares. Stacy was all out. She had, I got extras. I got a whole jar. I got extras. Stacy ain't have none. None. Convicted for murder. Now, she had to know that once she was convicted, she was going to get L-WOP'd. Oh, yeah. Life without the possibility of parole. She was like, okay, let me tell you something. When she go to prison, she going to blend. She got girlfriends. She probably is planning this for her whole life. Some tell me she probably going to run into some of her relatives, some of her friends she knew from the street. She looked like she belonged in prison. Even when she was free, she looked like she belonged in prison. And I was like, okay. And so then the judge was like, yeah, I don't have time for a lot of this mess. So, can y'all be back in 20 minutes so we can sentence this heifer and I can get on with the rest of my day? I got some fajitas over there in the back room, and I need to go enjoy them. And the attorneys went back and forth. Oh, let's do 2:30. Let's do 2:15. Blah, blah, blah. They agreed to meet, I think, at 2:15 for the sentencing. And so we come back for victim impact statements. And Christopher Dickinson, I'm telling you, we're going to keep saying his name because Christopher did not deserve this. His father got up and gave a very passionate speech and was like, listen, I'm glad to hear my son's name spoken with respect in this courtroom because for the last 3 years, the things they've said about him, the way they've painted him was not true. They said he was a creep. They said he was disgruntled and he was angry. The daddy was like, let me tell you something. My son did get fired from his last job, but not because he was a bad employee, because he was a whistleblower and he stood up for the little guy and he got fired for that. Now, was he upset about that? Absolutely he was, but he was not some terrible, weird, creepy guy. And I was like, thank you, Christopher's daddy, Mr. Dickinson. And then the mama stood up, y'all. The mama of this dearly departed boy, she's like, for 3 years, we have waited for this justice. And now this evil heifer's going down. Again, not a quote, the spirit of what she said. And so the Judge Virgil was like, okay, dump truck, you got something to say? Defense, do you have something to say? Stacy had nobody there to support her. Not a friend, not a family member, not anybody. She did not speak for herself. She sat there, she was like, no, thank you. Remember, she's putting on innocent drag. She's like, oh, me, I'm just a kid, ma'am. So the judge was like, okay, I, Judge Virgil Vicente, taker of nobody's mess, sentence you to life without the possibility of parole. But then he went on to give her a little speech that I was like, Judge Virgil, you have absolutely earned my respect. He was like, look, you gonna die in prison. You have richly deserved going to prison, and that's where you gonna go for the rest of your life. The state has already told us that this heifer had a long criminal history, and the state of Colorado, that defense attorney stood up and told us never at any point did he ever consider offering this woman a plea deal because she has a long, violent criminal record and he's happy to get her off the streets. And the judge was like, you about to live the rest of your life in prison and you get to decide what you do with that. You're going to run into this girl is 23. she can live the next 50 years in prison. Healthcare in prison is not that good, so it's unlikely she gonna live that long. But I mean, if somebody like shanks her or whatever, it's not like they can reach a vital organ. So she probably live a long time. Anyway, so the judge was like, you gonna live a long life, and hopefully you can use your powers for good instead of evil and try and influence some people. Not today, not tomorrow, but maybe someday in the future, you can make something of your life in prison, away from the rest of us. And I was like, thank you, Judge Virgil. Thank you. Now listen, while we were waiting for the verdict to come in, I went back and I did a little rewatch because remember Hosanna, the girlfriend, Hosanna Valeria? She got up and she testified during the early parts of this trial. On the days that Hosanna was in court, her family came to court to offer her support. Now, Hosanna, who was the homicide helper in this case, took a plea deal and she was sentenced to 16 to 32 years. When she came before Judge Virgil was like, have for 32 years. He maxed her out, as well he should. Now that she's testified truthfully in this case, she can come before the court for reconsideration and the judge can lower her sentence. Stacy, Hosanna has little kids and stuff. I don't know what the judge is going to do. Now, Hosanna did not do the wet works, but she also did not tell police. She was all caught up in the mix and doing drugs and doing whatever she was doing. If I had to guess, I think, and listen, I am not a legal scholar, child. I'm a gossip scholar. I think Judge Virgil might drop this case down to like 20, 25 years for her, which means Hosanna gets out in maybe like 20 or something like that, 18, while her kids are still young enough. She could be a grandma. She could live the rest of her life on the free side of things. But look, when when Hosanna's family was in court, apparently, allegedly, they were saying things in the back of the courtroom. And some of the people in the court was like, oh, they called the defense attorney a bad name. They talking cash about that defense attorney. And the defense attorney heard it and was afraid that the jury might hear it. So the judge was like, okay, we're going to take a break. I watched this during deliberations. It actually happened about a week ago, so about halfway through the trial. The judge was like, okay, who heard them say the bad things? And he had the people come up and, report what they heard. Your Honor, I heard them say this. I heard them say that. They was giving people dirty looks, blah, blah, blah. The judge was like, okay, Hosanna's mom and sister, y'all come on up here and stand at the podium. I'm going to talk to y'all. So they come up there, y'all, the disrespect. These two ladies were sitting there, but they turning around back and they doing whatever. And Miss Trujillo, who has clearly fallen in love with her client, was like, Your Honor, tell them to stop giving me dirty looks. Look, Judge Virgil came out of a bag on these heifers. First of all, did you notice that Judge Vicente Virgil has a big old tattoo down his arm? What that tattoo say, Judge? Judge had no time for their mess. He was like, hey, this is not Judge Judy. This is not Joe Brown. This is not the Real Housewives. I'm telling you. And he went off on these ladies. He's like, get your act right fully installed. Somebody gonna end up in jail. You hear what I'm saying to you? He went mean daddy on them. And I was like, oh, Judge Virgil. Okay, that did a little something to me. Hang on, I done talked my throat dry. I made a little short where I included exactly what Judge Virgil said. I can't be using that kind of language on my channel because I am not trying to get demonetized. But if you look over on yes, I have a whole shorts playlist. I'll link it in the description. Look, this description box is going to be so full. I'll link it in the description box of this video. But Judge Virgil has he pulled out his best cuss words for these ladies. He let them know. I was nervous. I sat up a little straighter and I was at my house. I was like, oh, okay, And Judge Virgil, I promised to behave, sitting here in my bed watching this. So, y'all better not sleep on Judge Vicente Virgil. Hey, Judge, where you hang out? Oh, wait. My husband doesn't let me date. Okay, so never mind. It doesn't matter. He over there in Colorado someplace. I live in New Jersey. I can't get there. Anyway, listen, y'all have a great true crime day. Don't forget to share this video, like it, comment, subscribe to the channel, all the things. And I'll see you on my social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky. You have a great true crime day. Bye.